Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. The markets are picking up and altcoins are popping off all across the board. Bitcoin's sort of leading that charge as we see more and more money flood into the cryptocurrency markets. This is a really exciting time because I think that we have very real potential of us being at a bottom point. Now, there's a couple scenarios that I want to talk about in today's video. Today, I've been saving a special update for you guys after I got done with my course so I could have a lot more extra time to actually put towards making the video. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the most recommended coins to me by all of my members inside of the DIY investing community. And today, we are going to be talking about Vechain. Vechain is one that I've been getting a ton of comments asking if I would cover this project for the last couple months now. You guys have been talking about this one nonstop, and it honestly seems to be one of the bigger communities that I've seen inside of crypto. A lot of people that are into XRP seem to also be into Vechain, and so today I'm going to be diving in, sharing with you guys my updated analysis and where I think that we're headed inside of Vechain's market. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any more videos like the one provided for you in this update. If you're somebody that's looking for signals or that you want to follow my video course, I just made signals and video course a section inside of my Discord server, so you guys are definitely going to want to check that out. All of my best strategies that I've used for investing and trading inside of the market are going to be taught inside of this course. You can see the course right here. Here's some of the videos that you're going to be able to find. Now there's 20 different videos, and I will be adding a few more to the early adopters list, and so make sure you guys jump in on that while it's still here. This is something that's really going to help you guys just barely getting into crypto to start learning and profiting inside of the market with the exclusive DIY investing community. Now, with all that being said, click the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. You can message me on there. You can email me by also looking in the description of this video, and there you're going to get access to all of my social media platforms. Just message me or get a hold of me on one of those, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. Now, with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this awesome Vechain analysis. Here we are taking a look at Vechain on the dollar. Now for today's video, we're going to be diving in and I'm going to be looking at Vechain on the dollar as well as Vechain on the Bitcoin pairing so that we have a full understanding of what exactly Vechain can do next. Now, Vechain, for you guys that do not know, is a very awesome and exciting blockchain. Now, this is going to be one of the really cool up-and-coming blockchains, in my opinion. Now, I could be totally wrong. I don't actually have an accumulated position inside of Vechain yet, but I am looking to actually create one. And so that's why I want to talk to you guys about this video update, make this video for you guys so that we're all on the same page together. Now, kind of what I'm noticing with Vechain is a very big community. Now, similar to what you see with XRP, when you have a lot of different people really hyping up a project in a community that's really just so die-hard for their cryptocurrency, those are always the ones that I like to find and really like to get involved with because generally speaking, those are the most profitable ones to be a part of. Wherever retail flows, especially inside of a bear market, generally the more popular coins are the ones that are going to perform the best. And thus far, I've seen Vechain having a lot of traction inside of the crypto world. A lot of people are supporting this project. And I think it's because of the reason that this thing has a real fundamental use case in society today. If this is actually the route in which blockchain is going to take, and I do believe it will, I think that Vechain has a real good chance of adoption. And the reason for that, guys, is because Vechain is a blockchain for basically the Internet of Things. Now, I know that you'll hear that term and reference used quite a lot inside of cryptocurrency, but when I think of the Internet of Things, I generally think about blockchains such as Vechain. What Vechain is doing is they're taking RFID chips and they're implanting them inside of our consumer goods so that we have a way to track what our products are doing from consumer to shippers to distributors, all of these different things. We're going to be able to know exactly where all of the products are. And so I think that this is a really strong use case for blockchain technology. I mean, one of the major things that we have and problems that we have inside of the regular economic world inside of consumerism, we have a hard time knowing how to track all of the products. Now, even though we have a pretty sound system as of right now, I'm sure that we lose millions and millions of dollars every single year due to mismanagement on our consumer goods aspect of things. And so I would assume that this one is going to be one that really takes off for that reason. I mean, think about it, guys. if you're a store that sells consumer goods and you're having a problem where oftentimes you're having packages just go missing, whether it's human error, whether it's artificial intelligence error, whether it's a number of these different things, people stealing from your company, it's hard to know exactly what's going wrong and what we can do to actually stop it. Now, the cool thing about Vechain is the fact that we can now track exactly where all of these consumer goods are going. We can know what consumer goods are going to the retailer at what times. We can know what the supply and the flow of all of the products are, and we can actually graph these on a computer now. We can see kind of how all of this stuff is taking place. Now, this is going to create a lot of new money into crypto because this is going to set up a lot of pathways to big corporations and big retailers that are here to sell us consumer goods. Now, this is a consumerist-based economy here in America, and so I think that this one has a really good strong use case for this next cycle. So this is Vechain. Now, I'm sure that there's a number of different things that I didn't cover just briefly talking about Vechain and why I like it. And so if you guys know a thing or two about Vechain, make sure that you guys leave something in the comments. You can email me positive information. You can also send it to me on Twitter, and I will be able to read through all of that. And who knows, maybe I'll make an updated Vechain video talking more about the fundamental use case it has. But with this video, I want to talk about the overall technicals that I see so that we can kind of look and see what's going to happen inside of this market. So to start this video, let's take a look at Vechain on the dollar. Now, kind of what I'm seeing just based off of this chart alone is the fact that this bull market, we rallied really hard after the initial retrace. Now, we don't have any price history before that point, but basically what happened was we had one good rally, and we've kind of just started selling off from that point. Now, what we noticed is during December lows, about the point in which Bitcoin reversed, we had the same sort of rounded bottom accumulation, only what happened instead of Vechain was instead of breaking up and going higher, we kind of retraced back down in this recent bear dip, and we retested basically the primary low of this support that we saw back in December of 2019. And we can see that that's the case based off of this green line. I mean, we did pierce temporarily a tiny bit below it, but this is close enough to being our trending support that I'm not really too worried about what's taking place. Now, what we saw here was at the top of our cycle, our short-term cycle and reverse that we saw in the summer, was we got a bunch of new volume that came in here. Now, not only that, but if we came in here before that massive volume outbreak, we did start to see a nice accumulation of new buy volume. And then what happened was our major breakout of buy volume that came in, and this dwarfed all of the previous volume that we've had inside of this cycle. So what that tells me is that even though we had a bunch of new volume that came in at the top, that's going to be what's to be expected with retail FOMO. Now, what I've noticed inside of the market is generally a lot of the retail investors stick to XRP, or they talk a lot about Vechain. Now, generally a lot of other ones will talk about maybe Chainlink, but it's generally those three that I see the most retail investors talking about. Now, what that personally explains to me is that there was a lot of new money that came into this market. Now, even if this comes at the top of a trend, that very easily could have been a big whale buying a lot at market price and really shooting the price up because they were just so excited. They'd heard so many good things about their friends making money off this, and so then they kind of went all in, and then that's when we got the top of the cycle. And so what is taking place currently is an updated trend. Now, we have failed to break through support, which leads me to believe that this is still a very good uptrending coin. Now, kind of what I'm seeing currently is we have this descending resistance, but we broke outside of that trend. Now, this is kind of what we've been seeing. Now, this really wasn't the best descending resistance that we can have because it only has 2 reactions, and then we broke out. And so this isn't a very strong trend line by any means, but we have broken outside of both of these 2 descending points. Now, if you guys follow my analysis, you'll know that kind of the way that I like to trade trend lines is 2 reactions to a trend equals a trend. Now, 3 reactions means a strong trend, so we only have 2 with this setup, which is generally not something I trade or put a lot of faith into, but we have very, very good volume that's came in. Ever since the top of the cycle, we've had a lot of new money that's entered this market, and we only continue to see bigger and bigger volume outbreaks. And so the fact that we're trending outside of this descending resistance leads me to believe that this is a pretty valid setup. Now, currently what we're seeing is lower highs. There's a couple different descending resistances that I want to talk about. We have this one here, and then we had this one about right here. And so kind of what we have here is this bigger channel with these 2 previous rejections of our first lower highs. And then from that point, we had a shorter duration correction indicated by, let's change this color a little bit. Let's make these ones red so that we're on the same page. Now we can see that we have this bigger descending resistance, and then we have this shorter one. Now temporarily we're outside of the shorter one, which leads me to believe that we could very easily come back up and retest upwards a little higher, maybe come back in contact with this outer descending resistance. But this is kind of what I'm watching out for. Now realistically, I'm not liking the current price action that we're seeing inside of this consolidation. Now, if it was me, I would wait for either a rejection off of this descending resistance for an opportunity to buy a little bit lower, or I would actually just wait until we actually broke outside of all of the descending resistance and started up in this uptrend once again. Because kind of what I'm seeing, and if I drop it to a little bit of a bigger time frame, let's kind of go through here and analyze some things that I'm watching for. Let's remove all drawing tools. Now we can see here that from our reversal back in early December, it was really just us doing a bearish retest of the previous support levels that had held us inside of Bitcoin's market before we felled 6K support inside of the bear market. Now we sold through for one more sell-off, and we kind of retested that resistance zone only to fall back once more. Now what's taking place here currently is the fact that we failed to break through support and we failed to break through resistance. We're just channeling right now. And this is the channel that we have developed right now. And so based off of a channeling perspective, I think that this has a real possibility to go higher, but it has equal as much possibility to go higher as it does lower. And so we need to watch and see kind of what's taking place here so that we know how to develop our trading strategy. Now, what happened was after we bounced off of the support, we had another major impulse that took place and a lot of new buy volume came in. This is not really customary of further bearish continuation, and in fact, this leads me to believe that we could actually start impulsing once again. Now, what we're seeing currently is the fact that we had our accumulation lows that took place down in here, and if I zoom into a little bit of a shorter time frame, we're going to be able to see kind of how these reacted. Now, this was the short-term range that we experienced back before we reversed, right? This was when Bitcoin was worth about 3,200 to 4 grand, and we consolidated in this tight-knit range. And then what happened was Bitcoin broke out, and then also the altcoins did as well. And so what happened was after we broke out, we couldn't hold support above this channel line, and we actually sold back through, and we came back down to retest base support. Now, this is what takes us to current consolidation, is the fact that even though we came back down to retest support, we broke back up again with new buy volume, except we're now channeling on support above this previous trend. And so we have made a higher high. This is a lot more bullish price action on a bigger time frame. And so I think that it's very realistic that we're going to hold support right here, that where we're at, and we're actually going to make another attempt to break out of this short-term resistance right here. This is kind of what I'm going to be watching for. Now that would put us at less than a cent, about a tenth of a cent. And so I think that that's going to be our next realistic resistance level, and that's what we're going to be watching for. Now, if it was me, I could see myself taking a potential trade setup right here. Let's see our risk. Now, we do have a lot of downside potential here, and so it's a little bit risky playing a stop loss. If it was me, I would probably use a real tight stop loss and maybe try and buy the actual green stick that we're seeing right here above this support. Because this looks to me like we could very easily continue on in this trend, especially the way Bitcoin's looking, especially the way the rest of the altcoins are looking. We have roughly about a 60% target up to that resistance level. Now, if you're here trying to play it a little bit safer, I would either look to long the base support, or, you know, if you're trying to be a little bit riskier, maybe take a trade here with a short stop loss and then maybe play something like that. Or if you're looking to be a more conservative trader, I'd actually wait until we get the support and resistance flip above this level, because once we start kind of consolidating back on support of this level, then we all know that this is going to be experiencing more upside till at least probably the all-time high, probably somewhere up in this range, which still in and of itself would be a very profitable setup. If you just wait for the support and resistance flip, you're going to about double your money in that trade setup. And so this one's actually looking really good. Now, based off the fundamental use case it has, I personally would look at this a little bit differently than just a normal trading plan like I have drawn here. Now, if you really are somebody that can get behind the fundamental aspect and use case that Vechain blockchain has, then I would really recommend just kind of taking a low leverage position and just kind of looking to scale into that position as well. I mean, right here where we're at seems to be an area of pretty strong value. It's about the average of the low points we saw from December lows to the highs that we saw in the summer. back down to those same December lows. We're kind of at that middle ground point between the cycle, and so this big picture range is right about that average midpoint. Sometimes when it comes to me looking to accumulate my long-term bags, I'll just punt it and just take a position, even if it's not at the exact bottom, even though if we haven't experienced a support and resistance flip. This is close enough to a support and resistance flip that I would be willing to kind of accumulate a small position and then put away some for the long term. And so this is Vechain. I want to talk to you guys about this. This is the dollar pair. Now, before we wrap up this video, let's go take a look at the Bitcoin pair and see if there's any other analysis and perspectives that we can come to there. So here we are, guys, taking a look at Vechain on Bitcoin. Now, this one's a little bit different. It's going to look a little bit different compared to the other one. Now, kind of what I've been seeing, we have roughly the same sort of a trend line. Now, this one really, I would not even call it a falling wedge. You could call it a falling wedge. I wait for a little bit more reactions on our descending and ascending resistances. I wait for a little bit more reaction on our resistance levels. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and potentially 6. Usually I wait for 7. But we can see that we contracted inside of this triangle, and then we actually just recently broke out from that. We had very good buy volume that entered from this point here, and we had a pretty slow inclination of buy volume even throughout this retrace back down. Now, when we broke out, we had a lot of new buy volume come in, which is a really good sign of reversal. Now, kind of what we saw inside of Vechain was this long uptrend inside of the RSI. We had major bullish divergence forming since about this point, but we had lower lows in price. Now, this is usually what you're going to see happen before the end of a reversal of a short-term bear trend, and that's exactly what kind of happened from that point. Now, based off of Fibonacci, we came up and we tagged this 236 level. We didn't quite hit the 382, and then we'd also have the 618. And so if this continues to actually impulse, then my next two targets are going to be this 382 level and then this 618 level up here. And that's actually where I would aim to take profits inside of this market, because this very easily could be just the first impulse. Now, if I was watching this currently and looking for an entry, I actually think that it's likely that we're going to see a little bit more downside. Now, it's very possible we could bounce and find support above this 0.5 level, but the current consolidation just looks a little bit more bearish to me for some reason. Now, this very easily could round out and we could go up for another impulse, but I would actually look to target about this 618 Fibonacci level. That's generally the best place that I've found to accumulate for short-term continuation inside of a trend. Oftentimes, you'll see a breakout of a trend. We'll kind of bottom at this 618, and then we'll continue to impulse up higher in that cycle. And so this is what I would watch out for. Overall, it looks like we've just finished a 1, 3, and 5 Elliott wave impulse up. This would have been our 1 wave, this would have been our 3 wave, and this would have been our 5. And so to me, it seems much more realistic to accumulate either the 786 or the 618 Fibonacci level. 786 would put us about a little bit lower, about right there. And so that's where I would actually aim to buy this dip inside of Vechain. And from that point, I'd look to actually scale out based off of the Fibonacci equivalents. It's a little bit more accurate for me to do that, and oftentimes they follow the Fibonacci equivalents pretty convincingly, especially in uptrending markets with strong impulses, because it's all just human emotions at the end of the day. I mean, the Fibonacci sequence is the mathematics of life, which all coexist nicely with humans and human emotions. And so during a very impulsive markets, you'll oftentimes see these Fibonacci levels get hit very quickly. And so this is where I would aim to buy inside of Vechain. But overall, this just looks like a big one wave. Wherever we bottom, it looks like a 1 before we'd actually kind of rally upwards into a 3 wave. And then we might even get one more final 5 wave impulse from there. It's hard to say exactly what's going to take place. It really depends on what Bitcoin does and what Bitcoin gives us. But if Bitcoin continues to uptrend, if Bitcoin continues to paint a lot of profitability, then I don't see why we can't see something along the lines of this play out inside of the market. And so to me, this is kind of what I'd be watching out for. Now, don't look at the time frames, because the time frames aren't meant to be exact. I'm just mapping out Elliott waves to show you kind of how the impulse will move. And so this is kind of what I would be looking to watch out for. And so this is Vechain, guys. I wanted to make you guys some analysis so that we all are on the same page with this project. It's one that's definitely on my watch list because of the use case that it has in society. Us being a consumer class society in America, maybe it's not the case everywhere else in the world, but in America specifically, I can see the value for this chain. I mean, I see people that are constantly just a consumer-based economy, people just looking to buy stuff. And this seems to be a really good case in America specifically because we have all of this consumer goods that we need to track. Now, not only is this good in America, but that's really a small-minded perspective. If you look in China per se, they're the big distributor of consumer goods. They're selling them all over to Americans because Americans like to buy stuff even if it's just pointless crap. Americans are excellent at that. And so Vechain has a real use case because you can now track the supply all the way back from China all the way coming to America. We can see kind of how the directions and the paths are going of all our consumer goods. And so I think that this one has a real strong use case. It's one that is definitely going to continue to be on my radar. I'm going to watch out for this one, just because I think that this one has a lot of profit potential moving forward. So this is the Vechain analysis I had for you guys. If you like this video, always remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new, make sure you click the notification bell so that you don't miss any more updates like the one provided for you here. If you guys want to further your education as a cryptocurrency analyst and an investor inside of the market, make sure that you guys check out my course in signals. If you pay in crypto, you'll receive an additional 20% discount on that, so that you guys can message me on you guys can message me on Discord. You can drop a comment on the YouTube video, or you can even email me or message me on Twitter. I've got a number of my different routes for communication. Just click the description video. Just click the description of this video, and there you're going to find out all the information for that. With all that being said, thank you all so much for the support. I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.